2021, I played a ton of games, like actually twice as many games as I usually play in a year. Somehow, like a third of them were about death and dying too. Played games like Spiritfarer and Backbone that were good story-wise but made me feel like shit. Doom Eternal and Pokemon Snap 2 I thought were good but not better than the previous installments. Apex Legends actually beat out Overwatch a few times for the most played game in any given week. I did have a lot of fun with Apex this year when it worked, and when people didn't leave as soon as things stopped going their way. I played 3 walking simulators where you were a dog, and Lost Ember actually ended up being the best one. And Return of the Obra Dinn was the coolest puzzle game I played this year, and I feel like there'd be consequences if I didn't at least mention it. The Pathless is the game I wanted when I pre-ordered Lost Ember. The game gives off a similar atmosphere, but in this one there are actual things to do, and the game isn't unfinished. The majority of the game is traversing these massive open landscapes. You shoot targets to go faster, which makes covering all this ground enjoyable. It's not a hard game, the battles are pretty easy and the puzzles are pretty simple, and overall it's not very taxing, but it's a good time playing it if you're not really in the mood for a huge challenge. The world is expansive without being empty, it's visually pleasant, and the music I thought was pretty cool. But the best part of this game is that you have a bird friend, and when you hug the bird friend it makes things better, and you can pet the bird friend, and petting the bird friend is an actual mechanic. Thank you, Pathless. Super Smash Bros. The narrative around Smash Ultimate now is that the game is over. Everything's been released. Everyone is here. But what I say is that the game is finally out. Super Smash Bros. Is the best, most approachable fighting game in existence. There's the potential to play at literally any skill level, and even as a new gamer, it's easy to pick it up and find someone you recognize. Even if you aren't a big Nintendo fan, come on, I mean, you know Mario, you know Pikachu, you know Pac-Man, Mega Man, Little Man, there's someone for everyone. My main is Isabelle. Smash is easy to learn and hard to master, and with this amount of variety, the game never gets old. Cyberhook is simple. Get from point A to point B, and you have a grappling hook. The perfect concept. The game is at its best when you have the freedom to take the course how you like it. Some of these levels you can just fly through, both figuratively and literally. There are 76 good levels and 6 bad levels. It's not just about finishing the level, it's all about setting that perfect time. Playing this game for a perfect score can get infuriating, but at the end of the day when you finally get there, that feeling right there is all worth it. Subnautica 2 is a great follow-up to the first game. All the stuff that worked about the gameplay last time is still here, and they removed Dracula. Though it's a bit more linear than the last game in the sense that you actually know what you're supposed to do next, it does feel easier than Subnautica 1 and maybe not quite as scary, because this time you aren't entirely alone. But the sense of solo exploration is still there. The tension around entering a new and unfamiliar place is still there, and there's gameplay above sea level, there's a clearer story, it's an excellent expansion on the universe. If you'll recall, this was my list of games that I've cried at, but recently I learned that this is actually a list of games I've got emotional over. Here is the list of games that I've cried at. Spiritfarer is a pretty creative management game, but with a twist, and that twist is that every so often the game pulls you aside and punches you in the gut, which apparently is everything I ever wanted from a management game, because even though I had to get in bed and take emotional breaks like 3 times, I really love playing it. I'm aware that just because the game made me emotional doesn't make it a good game, but Spiritfarer's characters are so well written, I don't think it's a spoiler to tell you that in the game titled Spiritfarer, your tasks are to guide the spirits aboard your vessel to the afterlife. As you learn about their stories and help them complete their final goals, it becomes impossible not to get attached. The deeper in you go, the more you learn about everyone and how everything connects, and the climax of the game fucking killed me. I honestly cannot recommend anyone actually play this game. GeoGuessr counts as a game. I think it's an educational game. I've learned a lot about the world that I never would have known if I wasn't playing GeoGuessr actually every single day that I could. Ever since I started playing it, I've gained this desire to travel that I've honestly never once had. Why would I want to travel? It's expensive, it's uncomfortable, it's fucking boring. Everywhere else on the planet is too damn hot for me to survive in, but after playing this, I don't know. Maybe there is somewhere else I'd want to be. That being said though, I do tend to just play the local map I made most of the time with Maya.
This looks like it could be.
Oh, what is this?
BC.
Local radio CBC.
Oh,
I found a British Columbia sign. God damn it.
I haven't found a single sign yet.
This could be Mongolia.
Oh, it totally could be. Mongolia does look like this.
I'm trying to find this town. Oh. What the fuck? This is the sort of game to play when you just don't have the motivation to do anything. The perfect sort of game for my year. The objectives all take the form of short little errands you can run at your own pace, there's a bunch of interesting characters, and so much of this deceptively large island to explore. The whole game is really cute. And you get to be a bird. A short hike is a hike short of being bad. Ha. It's been a while since I played a game like Hyper Light Drifter that I thought was really amazing. Even though it's been out for a while, I went into this game completely blind and had no idea what to expect. Looking at the few images I did see and the art style, I expected this to be another story-heavy walking simulator through a cool-looking world. Turns out it's an action game and it's like properly challenging. I got my ass kicked in this game. But I thought it was a really good time. For a top-down game, it has a perfect weight to it, and the whole combat system is so much deeper than I ever realized during my first playthrough. I didn't even realize chain dashing was a mechanic until I got to the part where it's actually mandatory. It's not a very long game, I got stuck a few times and it took me about 5 hours to finish. I do feel like I missed a lot though. If you're in the market for a short and sweet combat-focused game, this is the one. I have to admit here, number 1 and number 2 are interchangeable. It's been in my head even as I record this right now that I don't really know which order they belong in. I've settled on one and I'm still not sure if I'm happy. Everhood is kind of a perfect mix of the gameplay from Undertale and Audiosurf with a whole ton of originality mixed in. And I tell you this because if you liked either one of those games, you are probably going to like Everhood. The majority of this game carries a bittersweet undertone, but for a good chunk of the game it keeps this goofy and silly feeling. Give me a couple moments I actually laughed at, and all the while it presents you with deep questions about life and death. The only place the game struggles in is pacing its story, which at least for the ending I found made plenty of sense, and it's kind of a minor issue next to all these enjoyable characters and this exceptional gameplay and this amazing music. There's a lot of weird and chaotic tracks on this soundtrack, but just like the gameplay and the story, when it peaks, it fucking peaks. Track 5, 60, 75, 77, and 80 to name a few without spoiling any of the song names. I honestly have no idea how to talk about this game without spoiling anything, but it's so obviously made with a lot of love and care, and it's my favorite game of the year. But so is number 1. Mad Rat Dead is not at all the game I expected to be my favorite game this year. It's a pretty fun and challenging rhythm platformer. Gameplay-wise, I thought the game was pretty solid, though really difficult at some parts, and unique, at least to me. On top of that though, I absolutely love the art style and the character designs. It manages this perfect blend of creepy and cute and often surreal. The story's the same way. Mad Rat is dead and he wants revenge, and he's given a second chance by the Rat God to relive his last day and end it differently. So it's another game about life and death. It seems like a goofy premise, but where it goes from there did get emotional, and maybe I could say a lot darker than I expected, but I'm not spoiling anything about the story other than to say I really did enjoy it. But there's something about this game that stands out and turns this already fantastic game into something special. And knowing me, what do you think I'm gonna say about it? Mad Rat Dead has the best fucking soundtrack I've ever heard. Go ahead and replace Vector from Sonic on my soundtrack list with Mad Rat Dead. This music is so fun and bouncy and energetic. It's incredible on its own, but even in the context of the game, it's perfect at expressing the emotion and feeling behind the story. It ranges from jazz to electro swing to a couple different kinds of electronic, and pretty much every track is a masterpiece. Every aspect of this game comes together perfectly to make something truly special.